I don't know what order you'll watch the videos in, but I will post the video of the stainless steel case travel lock doing the cut comparison first. This video is obviously, you can tell by the title, is on the CV chrome vanadium case travel lock. And I have a similar stack of cardboard here as in the first test. I have a stack of phone book paper here. I have a cloth with some rubbing alcohol to clean the adhesive off the blade. And of course my notebook here where I'm keeping the notes of how many cuts I'm making. And that's about it. The only thing I did note from the first video is that I should have showed you guys initially from the start how sharp the knife was. So you can see here the knife is very, very sharp. No problems cutting the paper at all. So we're gonna start here with the half piece. We'll do 10 cuts. And to try to make it easier on myself, we're gonna do 10 cuts. We'll come in, we'll cut phone book paper. You can see it sharp, and I'm just gonna jump in and do another 10 cuts after I note how many cuts I've made. So we'll do 10 more. So that's 10 more cuts for a total of 20. And you can see the knife is still plenty sharp. So we'll jump in, we'll do 10 more cuts. Ten more cuts. I'm gonna wipe the blade off real quick. I'm trying to move a little faster than I did in the other one because that video went incredibly long. We'll wipe the knife off here on my shirt. Uh-oh. And you can see it's very sharp. That was 30 cuts. So that's noted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 more cuts for a total of 40 cuts. And you can see very sharp still. So we'll jump in with 10 more cuts. And 10. And we got a big chunk of tape on there, so let's wipe that off real quick, or try to wipe it off real quick. That adhesive is really, really, really sticky. Yeah, that adhesive stuck on there pretty good, so hopefully that won't mess up our cutting too much. That puts us at 50 cuts. Uh-oh. And you can see, still doing plenty fine. Jump in, 10 more cuts. That's 10 more cuts for a total of 60. And I'm gonna wipe this off real quick. Man, that adhesive is on there. Okay, that's pretty clean. And you can see still cutting just fine. So we'll jump in and do 10 more cuts. So that's 10 more cuts for a total of 70. And the edge looks pretty clean, so I don't think we'll need to clean it. Maybe we do. Yeah, let's clean the edge off real quick. All right, so we'll wipe it off on our sleeve and let's try this one more time. So we're still cutting pretty decently at 70 cuts. Maybe a little bit more rough, but we're doing okay. So 10 more cuts. All right, 10 more cuts. There was no adhesive on that part of the cardboard, so we're at 80 cuts. And we're cutting just fine. All right, so that's 10 more cuts for a total of 90. And we're still cutting just fine. So I'm gonna do 10 more cuts. All right, I believe that's 10. I lost count. Apologize about that. Let's wipe this off. We cut some adhesive. Man, this stuff is on here pretty good. But that brings us up to 100 cuts. And maybe we're losing some of the edge. Maybe it's some tape. We'll see. Still cutting just fine. All right. right, that's 10 more cuts. No tape in that piece, so we'll just see how we are. And we're cutting just fine. Cutting just fine. So that brings us to 110. All right, that was 10 more cuts. We cut some adhesive, so we'll wipe this off. That brings us to 120. And we're still cutting just fine. So 120 cuts, just fine. All right, so that's 10 more cuts, which brings us up to 130. Let's see where we're at. And I think there's some tape on the edge here, so we'll wipe that off. All right, that looks pretty decent. Still cutting just fine. So 10 more cuts. That's 10 more cuts. No adhesive on that part. That brings us up to 190. Cutting just fine. Cutting just fine. All right, got plenty of adhesive on the blade that time, so let's try to clean it off. This will bring us up to 200. All right, that's pretty clean. Let's see where we're at. And it's still cutting at 200. So we will do 10 more cuts. right? 10 more cuts to bring us up to 210. Uh-oh. Let's try that again. Let's try that one more time. All right, so we are cutting, but it's not cutting quite as well as it was. So we'll do 10 more cuts. All right, there's 10 more cuts to bring us up to a total of 220. We'll clean the knife off. All right, it looks like the edge is pretty clean. Let's dry it off here. So it's not cutting quite as cleanly as it was, but you can see it's still cutting at 220 cuts. So let's see. It looks like I ran out of cardboard, so let me grab some real quick. I'll be right back.